Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with Louis de Souza. Today is Monday, September the 16th, 2019. It is 4 p.m. New York time. That's 1 p.m. Los Angeles time. And that would be 9 p.m. in London. And that makes it 5 a.m. in Tokyo and 6 a.m. in Sydney, Australia. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And I'm happy to be doing the show instead of what I was doing 5 minutes ago. So this is an improvement all by itself. I won't even go into what was going on 5 minutes ago, but right now everything is feeling so much better. And Louis, I hope everything is feeling so much better at your end, even though you didn't have to deal with what I was dealing with.
Everything's great. Thanks, Walt. Welcome, everybody. Also want to welcome Astrid. We've got Astrid again. We're going to be talking
Fantastic.
Welcome, Astrid.
Astrid, thanks for joining us again.
Hello, my pleasure. At a different time?
At a different time, yeah. Yeah, we did a whole shift around here so that I could be doing more to help Louise run her business. And so I know it's late there, but you guys are willing to come on, and we really appreciate that so much. So thanks for making the time.
No problem.
Anything newsworthy in the Jin Shin world that we should know about? I know, Astrid, your Facebook group had a little healing session about a week ago. Have you done anything more with that since then? Tell us what happened.
Well, it was the global event that we did, that we sort of practiced on a week ago last Monday, on the 9th of September. And I'm happy to report that 42 different countries participated. And 25 states participated as well. So we started in New Zealand and ended in Hawaii across the different time zones, and did that twice in one day, and it was amazing, and it just really was very, very cool.
Wow, yeah. Some serious participation going on there. You make my time zone announcements at the beginning of the show sound, feeble by comparison.
Well, it would be nice to be able to do those events a bit more often, but they do take quite a lot of energy. So last time I did it was last year, so it's been a while before this one. But I get the inspiration, this is a significant date or something comes together, and I just get inspired, and then that's it. I go for it. So
that's good.
It
was
very nice, and it was just really, really nice to get lots and lots of participation around the world.
Now, what specifically was the goal? What were you trying to accomplish with this meeting?
Well, when we work with Jin Shin Jyutsu, we work with numbers as well. So part of the blueprint of the structure of the energy sites of Jin Shin Jyutsu is numbers. So we've got 1 to 26 energy sites on the body, and they all have a meaning, they all have a name, they all have a location, and they all have a function. And so when 9/9 came up, so the 9th of September came up, that is number 9 on our body, means end of a cycle, beginning of a new one. And it was working with those numbers as well that sort of propelled me to give the event the name Harmonize for World Change. So let's harmonize for a different perspective, for a shift in consciousness, for an end of a cycle, beginning of a new one, that sort of thing. So that's how it sort of comes about.
Okay. Well, it sounds like it was a very successful event. That's a good thing. We're experiencing a little bit of slowness sometimes with your internet signal. So if people are hearing funny things coming from Astrid as she's talking, that's what that's all about. But it looks like it's clearing itself out according to maybe kind of sort of clearing itself out. Zoom is trying very, very hard, let's put it that way, to give you a good signal, Astrid.
Okay.
But
right.
We'll suffer through.
I know, Astrid, your internet's faster than mine.
It should be, yeah.
It's all about the connection, and it's not always bandwidth. It's just, what's happening with the connection. But right now it's looking pretty clean for both of you guys, so that's the good news. And hopefully for me too. So, Jin Shin. So we're doing some more talk about Jin Shin today. Anything particular you've been thinking about that we should bring up, Louis?
Yeah, both Astrid and I were saying we want to talk about alignment, because alignment in LOA versus Jin Shin, there's a lot of similarities. So we wanted to run through that. Maybe we can get Astrid to start with what alignment means in the Jin Shin world.
Well, alignment in Jin Shin Jyutsu is basically harmony. So when there is disharmony, you have projects, and so you can work on projects, and then you harmonize those projects. So being in harmony is something that we can do. We can actually practice exercises to be in harmony. And then we can relate that to alignment in LOA terms as well.
What does that alignment do for you from a Jin Shin perspective?
Well, it changes your reality. So instead of an efforting reality, it becomes an effortless reality. You know, a day when you are in pain is a very different day from when you are not in pain on a very fundamental level. So that is what Jin Shin Jyutsu can do, and it can do it on a very individual basis. But then it can also have the effect that a day that is really an efforting day can become a different day when you practice. So when you harmonize your energy, and we all know what it feels like when a day is an efforting day, a day where there's a lot of effort, and when everything sort of goes smoothly and effortlessly. Oh, that sounds good.
Sorry about that. I thought I had that muted, but I didn't. Devices get in the way sometimes when we're trying to have a conversation, but I've muted that one so it won't give us any more trouble for the rest of the hour, hopefully. But alignment is important. And I mentioned that I've been having an issue not having to do with the show, just before the show. And alignment certainly helped me there, because if I wasn't in alignment, I would have freaked out. To be perfectly honest, what I was dealing with would have been something that would really freak you out. And you know, it was there. It was something for me to try to help with, but it didn't really affect me. It could have affected me, but it didn't. And that alignment makes all the difference in the world. So I imagine the same thing is going to have the same kind of positive effect when you're dealing with Jin Shin, because Jin Shin Jyutsu, it's basically a healing or a self-healing modality, and that alignment is going to make all the difference in the world in terms of the success you have with it, right?
Well, I don't really call Jin Shin Jyutsu a healing modality. I call it more. It is an art. It's an art of harmonizing the energy in the body. So the energy in the body, and it is know myself. It is, you know, the it is the infinite truth, the impersonal self. It's about getting to know myself, getting to help myself. And when we are aware of what we can do for ourselves, then we can start changing how we live, and we can start changing how we experience our reality as well. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's a philosophy, it's a psychology, and it's a physiology. So the awareness of myself, the understanding of myself, and the application of the method. When I apply the method, I become more aware of myself. And as I become more aware of myself, I have a greater understanding of myself, and then I apply the method, etc. And you look kind of puzzled. So
no.
I hope
No. You're perfectly clear. I'm not puzzled. I'm distracted by the thing that was happening before, and I'm trying to bring my focus back to this is actually part of where practice comes in, right? You're practicing to always maintain your focus on where you want it to be, but it's so easy to get distracted by other stuff.
Well, this is something that Louis and I were discussing before the show. Was how do you maintain your alignment? You know, when things on the outside sort of come in and distract you from that, or
right.
shift your focus. You know, it's all very well if I'm if I were a monk and I were in a cave and I could control all my environment all the time 24/7. But if I'm going out into the world, you're interacting with everything, everyone. So how do you maintain that balance? And that is a discipline in a way, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's a discipline we practice every day.
Walt, there was a time when I said to my mentor after reading many a master book with her, I said, I just want to go and sit at the feet of a master in India. This is a young 23-year-old lad. And she said, rubbish, go get married and have kids.
Wise woman.
So I did go get married and have kids. And, bringing the wisdom of alignment into everyday life is really what it's about, a master sitting in an ashram meditating all the time it's not really having too many buttons pressed, although I imagine their life can be quite challenging too. But you get the picture, having spirituality in outside society versus really having the ability to carry it around with you all the time. So I don't know if you remember that show in the 70s, I think it was, Walt. It was called Kung Fu.
Oh, sure.
But David Carradine. Yeah.
Yeah, even I watched it.
So you watch kind of a master going out and living in everyday life, that kind of harmony and serenity. And they definitely painted the picture beautifully, okay? He really took huge variety of very common situations and diffused them time and time again in the most delightful way. It was really portrayed well. I really quite enjoyed that. And a lot of respect for that. So it's the same like Jin Shin and Abraham Hicks. So Jin Shin, you're finding alignment in law of attraction. You're trying to find alignment. And you really need to understand what alignment is. So from the Abraham Hicks perspective, it means heading or going towards everything you want, which your emotions would be telling you you're heading the right direction when you're happier. Or when you're happy, because then you're doing what you're in alignment with, and your emotions are your guidance. So what Jin Shin does is incredible, because what it does is it lowers your resistance so that you can start seeing how to move forward to where you want to go with much greater ease and clarity. And that's what it's done for me on millions of occasions. So to the degree, how long have I been studying it now, Astrid? What, 20 years?
Yeah.
And I've never, not one day have I not used Jin Shin. It's never, ever happened from the day I started. So, you've got these tools, you work with them, they lower your resistance, they keep you in alignment, they align my face. My nose used to be quite a lot more to one side and all the other things. So there's a lot of physical alignment that comes into it as well.
You've told me about that in the past, too. And I keep trying to imagine, what were you like with your nose askew? I can't imagine what that even looks like.
Astrid will remember Ranjana. Ranjana came to me after, I think it was the second 5 day I went to, and she said to me, "Oh, I can't believe it. Your nose is so much straighter. It's so much straighter." And she's able to read bodies brilliantly, and it was quite a statement coming from her.
But the reason why that happens is because the body follows what the energy is doing. So when you correct the energy, the body will follow, and that's why the body can change. In fact, bodies change when we practice Jin Shin Jyutsu on ourselves, or when we have treatments or whatever, because the energy is corrected, and then everything changes.
So what role does that shift in energy play in change in thought process? I mean, I would think it would make it easier, but does it play other roles besides that?
Well, everything happens at once. So when you practice Jin Shin Jyutsu, everything happens at once, because it it repairs and corrects and regenerates on every level, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So it's not just doing the physical, that's just part of it. It's doing everything at once. So your whole thought process, of course, is going to change as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so is your emotional, because everything starts at the emotional level, at the attitude level. So if someone gets stuck in, say, sadness, then, that's going to have physical repercussions. And so when you clear that stuckness, an attitude, when you harmonize an attitude, then you move it on, and that moves the energy, and then there is no, say, lung issue that comes from that stuck sadness.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a simple way of describing the process. Of course, this can take years and years to develop, but this is basically, everything starts on the attitude level, which is the emotional level, which is the worry, fear, anger, grief, and efforting or trying to's.
And I apologize, Louis. I think I cut you off when I asked that question, but do you remember what you were going to say?
I can't remember you cutting me off.
Oh, okay. Well, then that.
Did you?
Clearly, we have such a high level of alignment going on here that even if one of us steps in, the other one doesn't even notice. That's good.
Brilliant.
So alignment is really just another way of saying getting our crap together, getting ourselves going in a complete connection of energy and of mind and of emotions and physical health. It's a complete holistic system we're describing here, right?
Well, Jin Shin Jyutsu is complete, and we are complete as, our being is complete. We've got the 26 energy sites, which 26 means complete. And so therefore, all we need is to know how to work with them, and we can work on everything. Any experience that we have, we can work on it through the energy sites, and by using our hands as jumper cables, which we described what that was in the previous podcast that I did.
And Jeffrey is, of course, our number one participant with the live stream. He's here more than anybody
Jeffrey,
else.
How are you?
And he's asking, can we have a demonstration? I'm not sure what he wants a demonstration of, but if there's anything that comes to mind, feel free.
A demonstration of how to harmonize.
Sure.
Well, the easiest way is to hold the fingers, and we've talked about that in the previous podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing it on video here, but for those listeners who are not watching this and they're listening, you say, for instance, you wrap your right hand around the left thumb, and then just hold and relax your hands, and then you're harmonizing 14,400 energy functions by holding the thumb, and you're harmonizing that attitude of worry, which relates to the energies of the thumb. But then we've got this whole system of 26 safety energy locks, which actually protect the body and their concentrated spheres of energy, and they're located on specific areas of the body. So a demonstration would be, we could hold the 21s, which releases, as I said before, releases stress in the brain, and we could hold the 22s, which helps us be happy and content wherever we are. So, because the meaning of the name that is given to 22, number 22, which is just under the clavicle here, it's a significant safety energy lock, because all 144,000 energy functions go through this energy site. So there's one on the right side and there's one on the left side. They're mirror images of each other. And it means, the name of it came into the universe meaning complete adaptation. So I can be happy and content wherever I am. So if I say someone moves to a new job or has a new relationship or moves to a new region or whatever, you can hold the 22s, and then the transition is much easier. That's an example.
Okay, that's good. Jeffrey actually followed up with a comment, kind of playing off of what I said about how he wasn't really asking for anything specific to demonstrate. He said, "I appreciate it. I was feeling in a place of vagueness." And I think we can all identify with that. There are times when I think I would call that a form of misalignment, where we're just kind of not in touch with ourselves, where we're in that vague state. Nothing really bad going on, nothing really, no alarm bells, no red flags, but it's just not really in a great state. What's a good way to handle that from a Jin Shin perspective?
Well, that's a very interesting concept that you raise, because actually we need to change this mindset where if I'm not sick, then I'm okay. Mm-hmm. Because in actual fact, if we've got this ability to work on ourselves so that we can be in optimal health. So there is this approach that we can use to be in optimal health, not only when we are sick, but every day. So do you see where I'm getting at? Mm-hmm. That, when we feel sick, it's actually too late in a way to start doing something about our health and to live optimally, happily, and in the best of health. It's about maintaining optimal health. It's not about sort of, I'll just leave it in the lap of the gods and then hope for the best. And then, when I'm sick, I'm going to hand it over to someone else and they're going to give me a pill. And then, that pill's going to give me side effects. And then I'm going to have to take another pill, another pill, another pill. And it just goes from there. And it's one big downward slide down this rocky road. Mm-hmm. And I'm not making light of that, because that, when that happens, obviously one has to use the resources at one's disposal. And I would never say that Jin Shin Jyutsu is a substitute for medical attention or diagnosis or supervision. Mm-hmm. But what we want is to change the mindset that long before you get to that point, you become aware of how to use the tools that you have so that you can maintain optimal health and happiness and live a joyous life and a long life, because Jin Shin Jyutsu is the art of longevity as well, and the art of happiness, and the art of the and the art of the creator. So
it sounds complete from what you're describing. Everything
it is complete. It is complete, and it can be used. It's inclusive, so it can be used with anything else under the sun, because it includes every single relationship that you could possibly imagine. Color, sound, astrology. Louis, you can come up with a few. Law of attraction. So it is inclusive, it is complete, and we are complete. And when we realize how powerful and how intelligent we are, then it's very empowering. And believe me, we all have days when we doubt what it is we're doing here, or we doubt, or we don't feel optimally, or but just spending time with this then just eases us back into alignment and harmony.
And that's really what it's all about. So, Louis, I think we found a way to actually keep you quiet. We just start talking about this stuff and you just fade into the background. How did we manage that?
Well, I like to talk a lot, so.
Astrid and I have this ding-dong battle of who gets a position. Sometimes I've got enough restraint to keep quiet.
Very good, Louis. Very good. Go on. Say something.
So let's talk about how to do what you're talking about, because you said my words rather than yours.
How to get enough restraint to be quiet.
Well, there's that, but I mean, but Astrid was talking about taking steps before something happens in order to make sure that we have that complete whole system of good alignment going on, so that A, we have a lot fewer incidents of things that go wrong, and B, when they do go wrong, we're in a better place to be able to deal with them. So let's talk about that. How do we get that program going, so to speak?
Well, it's the same thing from the law of attraction point of view. You say, how do I get out of this negative patterns and start focusing more positively, more consistently? Then, I know things are going to go better because the law of attraction is going to take your positive thoughts and expand them. So, when I first started Jin Shin, what happened was I had this incredibly powerful feeling. It said something to the lines of, my God, I'm cheating. I've got tools now nobody else has got, and I'm cheating. I can get rid of colds. I can do this. I can do that. I can do the other. And I was like, nobody else can do this. I'm cheating. So, that's how it feels when you start the law of attraction and you get good at it. You get the feeling, oh my God, I'm cheating because life becomes so much easier. I'm so much happier.
You almost make it sound like there's a guilt complex associated with it.
There was in the beginning, not anymore. Now I hardly notice that aspect at all. I just so instinctively do it. I was explaining when I was in the hospital with the appendicitis, and I felt the raging fever in my body of all this poison, and the nurse was coming around to check my temperature, and all I would do is I would do a fever flow, bring it down, she'd check it'd be fine. Every time, and so I didn't have to take any of their silly little tablets. So she caught me once because I was asleep, woke me up, I was sweating, I had a high temperature, so I took the paracetamol. So what? It's not going to harm me. But when you got the ability to reduce fever, to get rid of colds, to fix my toe like I did in the other one that I was telling you about, when you got the ability to get rid of the pain in your back and your neck and your shoulders and your head, get rid of headaches with such ease, you do in the beginning tend to feel you're cheating a bit. And it's the same with the law of attraction, because it's so powerful when you focus positively and everything just starts rolling and manifesting so much easier for you. You do kind of get that feeling in the beginning that I am cheating. You know how some of those people, everything just goes right for them and everything just flows. And you kind of look at them and you think they're cheating as well, So
I can't honestly say there have been instances where I wish I had some sort of a superpower like somebody else did, but I never thought that they were cheating per se. I never really thought about it that way.
No, that's good. It's just something that popped into my mind. It's like, God, they just got it so easy. Everything always works out for them. I want that, And so you can get it. You can have it. So get into alignment. And alignment means, you've got your vortex. Your vortex is everything that you want. So you've got this mental pool sitting there of everything you want, and it just wants to manifest for you, because that's the design. If you want something and it manifests, you're the happiest person in the world. If you want something and it doesn't manifest, you're not. So you're sitting there saying, this pool's sitting there, and if I want that pool, I know that I have to be in vibrational sync to this pool. And when I'm in vibrational sync, it just automatically happen with absolutely no real effort whatsoever. The law of attraction will be the efforter, and you won't be doing anything. So you learn to get into that vibrational place of things you want, and you just sit there and you enjoy it and you appreciate it, even though it hasn't physically manifested yet. And that's really what alignment is, being in alignment with everything that you want. And from a Jin Shin perspective, Jin Shin very much for me just lowered resistance. And when you got the lowering of resistance, the flip side comes in, more allowing. So you get that more allowing, and it just flows in, and you get more energy. I remember once, I don't think I've ever mentioned the story before, but I was working on my spine. I worked directly on the spine, certain places with not in accordance to any Jin Shin book or anything. It's just because I became an advanced student and I could feel the energies myself in my own body. I was holding these places and poof, I found a massive energy burst. And I would say it was about a 45% increase in energy, and it's never left me from that day.
Mm.
So I loosened something in the spine, opened it up, and the energy started flowing so much clearer and easier, and it's never left me. I've never done anything to maintain it or get it back or anything. It's stayed there permanently since that time.
So it sounds like you release some sort of a block, and the block isn't there anymore, so it just keeps flowing the way it's supposed to flow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot has got to do with your spine and your alignment of your spine. That's why I've mentioned before on the show Egoscue, and I strongly recommend people look into Egoscue because it doesn't matter who you are, where you're going. Alignment of the spine can really help the flowing of the energy. And, of course, in Jin Shin, we've got the two flow, which is called the what do you call those guys that twist your back and all the rest of it? Chiropractor, right? Called the chiropractor flow. And, so with Jin Shin, you've got the ability to softly and gently realign all that as well. Me, I'm one of those guys that just like going in there and blasting everything. So,
Yes,
what doesn't kill me makes me stronger, and that's my nature.
So you've got a personal chiropractor, yes, and that's the safety anti-lock that's called 2, and its number is 2, and it's on the top of the hip bone. So when athletes come off they've just done their 100-meter run and they come off the circuit and they stand like this, with their hands on their back. You've seen them?
Oh yeah. Sure.
Well, that's to help clear their back, the ascending energy, so that they can breathe more deeply after they've put all this energy into the run.
Wow.
So they do this without knowing that they're doing it, but that's what they're doing. They're holding their 2s and they're just deepening their breathing because they need that deeper breathing after they've come off the track. So these are things that we do subconsciously. It's the inner wisdom of the body that is helping us. And actually, what Lou was saying was very interesting, because years ago when I went on a 5-day Jin Shin Jyutsu class, it was an advanced class as well, and we did a lot of work on each other and a lot of new flows and all the rest of it. And I didn't stop there. I kept working on myself, and I was absolutely astounded when I was working on myself. My hips released a weight. It felt like a weight just lifted off my hips, literally like that. And I realized how much I had been carrying in my hips. And it's never come back, it's never been that weight. So we carry these lead weights on our body, and yes, it takes a bit of work, working on the projects to release them, but eventually the body does, will release them, and that is the harmonizing of the body. It's quite incredible. It was an amazing experience.
Jeffrey has also asked a question. He says, is Jin Shin similar to acupressure?
Well, Jin Shin Jyutsu, the principles of Jin Shin Jyutsu are similar to acupuncture, and in terms of acupressure, I'm not sure because I'm not very familiar with acupressure. But the system of Jin Shin Jyutsu is very unique to Jin Shin Jyutsu. So acupressure works on a completely different system of pressure points, and we don't work with pressure points per se. We work with the 26 energy sites, which are called safety energy locks. And so we also work on the spine. We can work on the spine to release stucknesses, within the spine. but very gentle touch, very light touch, and it's not really pressure that we apply. So yeah, it's a unique system, and it's different in that respect. It's different from any other modality because it's a very unique system to Jin Shin Jyutsu.
Well, the meridian system works on thousands of little tiny pinpoint prick places on your body, which you literally can stick a pin into, the acupuncture. And there are thousands of them, and there's quite a few lines, different, the kidney, liver, lung, and all the rest of it. There's a lot of them, and there's a lot of points all over them. And the safety energy lock in Jin Shin Jyutsu is a sign of a tennis ball, and there's only 26 of them, so it's something very different. So you're working, when you look at different energetic modalities, you'll find they work with different energies of the body, because the energy of the bodies are different when they're very close to the physical, and as they move more into the non-physical, you'll find that different people are focusing on different levels of energy as you move further and further into the non-physical.
Yeah.
And that is one way of describing the difference. But it's to me very different.
The other way of describing the difference, say, between acupuncture and Jin Shin Jyutsu is that in acupuncture, the acupuncturist will put needles in the energy pathways. We work along the banks of the energy pathways, as it were. Oh. So they can place up to, I think there's up to 61 points or there might be more points, very specific points along energy pathways, say along the kidney meridian, whereas we use the energy sites along the kidney energy pathway, and we work along the banks of that energy pathway, sort of following the path.
What's the advantage to that? Why work along the banks of it rather than get into the stream, so to speak?
Well, that's a system of Jin Shin Jyutsu, working with the energy sites, working with the safety energy locks, rather than working with working with each point along the energy pathway, which we don't call meridians, but that acupuncturists call meridians.
Mm-hmm. Well, I personally don't think you're working with the same.
We're not working on the same level.
Vibrational energy pathways in the body as the meridians. No. And I wouldn't compare the two at all.
Yeah, the acupuncturists are working on a denser level. So you're right, Louis. I mean, it's working with a different.
It's a different vibrational energy pathway.
Yeah. I hope that answers Jeff's question.
It leaves me stupefied. Like, okay, so where do I go with that? I'm not sure what to do with that information. It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that it's different. Okay. And it's interesting that it's higher vibrational. And it's interesting that you access it through tennis ball size points rather than pinpricks. But I'm still not sure what to do with it.
What I would say, Walt, is this is a point and that's a point. Well, and it doesn't matter where you're holding them there. You can't really go wrong. You can't miss the tennis ball.
They're energy sites.
And so when it comes to teaching people to do it on themselves, quite easy. But you try learn, and I've tried the whole entire Jin Shin Jyutsu. You try learn the entire meridian system, and there's so much involved in that. You have no idea. I mean, I tried for a few years, but I just couldn't get anywhere. It's just too much to remember. It's just way too much to remember. Although, in Jin Shin, you got to learn 26 safety energy locks. It didn't take me that long. And even then, if you're just working with the hands, you're just holding the fingers and you're already doing something. So when it comes to ease of practicality and implementation, it's definitely much easier.
That is certainly easy because at least now you don't have to know all of the theory in order to use the thing.
Exactly.
That's certainly.
You can get somebody started straight away on this podcast. Hold your thumb, off you go, and it really works. I've seen it so many times.
And the thing to remember is that we do these things unconsciously anyway. So it's part of our human makeup. We do these things. So it's just introducing an awareness of why we're doing what we're doing. I've said it before, to do more of what we're doing so that we get better results and so that we know what we're doing. But we do these things naturally,
It's true.
Oh God. Oh, where have I put my keys?
That's right.
So this will help you remember where you've put your keys.
That's good to know.
20.
I also think
eternity, yes.
I also think in terms of there's one particular I'm not sure what to call it, an image, a metaphor, a concept that I've been paying a lot of attention to lately, both here on the podcast and in my life. And that is the notion that since we are creators and we're creating constantly, and we are creating with everything that we focus our attention on, everything that we feel about, everything that we think about, and so on and so forth. When I think about that, I like to think about it in terms of us being like a worm. Like there's a whole bunch of snapshots of us, and the snapshots are turning into this moving worm that live out a lifetime. And so I asked myself, okay, in the context of that worm, where do the 26 points come in? How do I use them? And I guess the answer is just by using them while I'm worming. Just as I'm going along, I'm just doing things. And like you said, there's certain things that you do naturally. You hold your hand to your head if you're, oh my God, if you're in that kind of a state, or, if you're feeling defensive, maybe you cross your arms, or, my favorite thing is to grab across one arm. But we do these things regularly. We just do them almost subconsciously. They are part of our cultural learning. We just learn to do these things just by seeing other people do them, and so we do the same kind of thing. And I'm wondering, I'm wondering how much that's going to actually help enhance the impact of Jin Shin even before people know what Jin Shin is.
Well, I think it's more than cultural. I think it's innate. It is innate. I don't think it is innate. It's something that every single human being does naturally. Mm-hmm. A baby sucks its thumb, or it sucks other fingers, depending on what it needs, depending on its energy needs. That baby has not been taught to do that. That's something that the baby knows. That it soothes it. It helps its digestive system. It helps its stomach. It revitalizes its energy. It does all that when it sucks its thumb. Mm-hmm. So this is an innate wisdom of the body, and the only missing the only missing part is the awareness, the conscious awareness of what it is that we're doing. And most people don't know. Like I said, the athletes do this when they come off the track. That's an example, but there's millions of examples of what we do.
Right. You commented on that the last time you were on the show about how you'll see it on television, television stars, entertainment stars doing various postures without realizing what they're doing, and what they're actually doing is engaging in some sort of a Jin Shin energy flow.
Yes. And so, the thing of introducing the awareness is to introduce a system that we have so that we can use it. Mm-hmm. And the more we use it, the more powerful I think it becomes, because the more it works for us. When your house hasn't been cleaned for 40, 50 years, well, it's going to be pretty dirty, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
So it's going to take a bit of effort to get the deep cleaning done. Mm-hmm. But then when the house is clean, then all it takes is a bit of maintenance every day, Mm-hmm. So a little bit here and a little bit there, and and if someone spills some wine on the carpet, well then got to get some deep cleaning in. But it's the same with our bodies. Something happens and it needs a bit more attention, then it requires a bit more dedication and working on a particular project. Something has happened and it needs realignment or reharmonizing. So you could liken it to that. And basically, I like to refer to the safety energy lock system as switching on the lights in the house.
Yeah.
Once you start switching on the lights in the house, then you can see what you need to do.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, it's a very correct analogy that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm also reminded too, the first time that we had you on, and various times afterward, that Louie and I would bring in Jin Shin into a conversation we were having here on the podcast. At various times, each of you mentioned these packages, these events that you can attend, 3-day and 5-day and so forth, to learn about how all this stuff works. And yet, Louie, you mentioned just a few moments ago that it got to be too much to learn. So I'm wondering, has there been any shift, any change in your thought pattern about what to recommend to people who are trying to learn more about how to do this stuff?
So, Walt, when I was talking about too much to learn, I wasn't talking about Jin Shin Jyutsu. I was talking about the acupuncture, acupressure.
Oh, acupuncture. I see. I see what you're saying.
Meridian pathways in the body, of which there are many pathways and many, many points. I mean, I think there's, I might be wrong, about 1,000 or something. There's a lot. Okay. So to know the kidney and its 60 different ones, and the liver and its 60 different ones, and whatever, I'm sure some acupressure or acupuncturist would. So acupressure, by the way, is just using the acupuncture or the meridian points with your fingers as opposed to a needle.
A needle, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the only real difference there. So, can a 5-day be overwhelming? Almost definitely for anybody on the first time. Okay, absolutely, definitely. The teachers that stand in front of you, of which there's only about 9 or 10 in the world, is it 25?
There's about 20.
There's about 20. Okay.
Yeah,
so there's only about 20 of them, and all of them that I've ever been to are exceptional. Okay. They're exceptional individuals on so many levels that you are blown away with the amount of knowledge, information, and clarity that these guys can bring. They really, really are impressive. On a completely different level. And, some are known for their incredible skill with the body. Wayne's World, he's incredibly good with astrology and numerology. And then you get the spiritual individuals, and then you get, the different characters bring out their different strengths, and you can go to exactly the same book, exactly the same 5-day, and be blown away from a completely different angle. It's really incredible. These teachers are on another level altogether. I can't describe it. You have to go to one. So yeah, it's.
So you haven't really changed the recommendation that people attend one of these 5 days.
The recommendation is anybody must just go for it, because even if you're just lying on the table enjoying the treatments that you get every day, that'll be worth it. If there's nothing else you go for, go get some good treatments from amazing individuals. So, yeah. So, as I maybe told you how my wife and I got together, is I met her on a 5-day Jin Shin. So there was this bowl of numbers for the different tables, and there were 50 people in the class, and there was a bowl for reviewers and new people. So I took out a reviewer because I'd been many times before. My wife-to-be took a number out, and we both got table number 6 on the second day. I just met her on the first day, and I was really wanting to get to know her. On the second day, we were on the same table together. On the third day, we were on the same table together, not only on the same table, but on the same number table. So we had 2 days in a row. And even the instructor went up to the organizer and said, "Hey, did you organize this?" Or,
yeah, right. Did you use yesterday's?
The universe did it. Nothing to do with it. Completely random. So, it's I'm not saying everybody's going to go pick up their partner out there, but it's a possibility.
You never know.
And
it certainly changes. It changes you if you're ready for change.
Hugely,
it's changed you.
Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean by it changes you?
On my first 5-day, I was stressed. I had bags under my eyes. I had back problem of such incredible pain. And we had the whole 5 days, and there was about 6 months, because I was quite keen to go back to the next one. I found another one 6 months later, and I went back to that. And every single night for an entire 6 months, I had woken up at 4 o'clock every morning automatically, and I did Jin Shin for 2 hours till 6, and I fell asleep for the last hour till 7, which is the most delicious sleep I've ever had.
Mm.
And I had done self-help on myself every single day. Actually, it landed up for a whole year, automatically, without any effort, not trying to wake up, not trying anything,
Wow.
just naturally flowing. And as I said, one person said my nose was straightened, my black eyes were gone, my back pain was gone, like all the stuff, a huge portion of the stuff had gone. And you find that there are some long-term challenges in your body, which I'm busy dealing with one at the moment, that take longer. Some have been around forever, like often having to clear my throat. There's a post-nasal drip in the back of my mouth, and I haven't managed to get rid of it for a huge amount of time. And, it's not been massively bothering, so it's not something I've spent a huge amount of focus on, but it's in the back of my mind. It's always like, I'd really like to get rid of this one other thing. There's another thing I want to get 20/20 vision. So I've improved my eyesight by up to half, but I'd also like to go the other half.
Oh, very
There's
good.
certain things that you want to, that are longer term challenges, and, I'm enjoying working with them. I'm having great fun with them. So, if you don't have any challenges left, you've got to come and make them or something. You've got to find more. My mentor once said to me, Louis, don't go look for truth in dustbins. So, I don't go looking for problems anymore.
That's a good idea. Speaking as one who is an expert at finding problems, that's a very, very good idea.
You can find nicer problems after a while. Because you're going from hope to expectation. There's nicer contrasting experiences which you can have, rather than.
I found there's no lack of problems. Problems will just kind of show up. I don't have to worry about trying to make them come. They're just there, So really, I spend most of my time just deciding, is that a problem I really want to put my attention onto? And about 98% of the time, the answer is, not really. Nope, thanks. Next.
So Walt, one of the things Jin Shin's been teaching me is that you've got this incredible source energy which is constantly flowing through you. If you have no resistance, you get the energy. You are full of it. And it's the same with your stuff, Here, you can have my car, my phone, my this, because I know I get another one. How many of us do that? We don't.
Not very often.
No, because we don't believe that we will get another one, that it'll just come into our lives. So we hold on to these things. One of these guys, these self-development speakers, gave a fantastic talk in London. And he said to the audience, hey, guys, who's got £100 in their wallet? And somebody put up their hand. He said, great, come, give it to me. So he got onto stage, and the guy was slowly pulling it out of his wallet and
looking around.
You got to give it back to me.
Yeah, right.
And he said, look how you are giving. Look how you are giving. Because when you give freely and openly, and, Jin Shin's been the teacher that the source energy is always flowing through you, okay? And if you're removing the resistance, you get more and more and more. And there's no limit to it. There's no limit, nothing. And when that starts exuding into your physical lifestyle, you start realizing that you can give anything away. But it's a process of trust and testing and understanding and allowing, and it's a whole thought process change, because almost none of society is thinking like that. We're not thinking abundance.
Yeah, true enough.
On that kind of level.
It's interesting too to be.
You have a safety anti-lock that is abundance.
Yeah.
Oh, there's an abundance one. The back.
So if you're feeling not so abundant, you can hold your upper arms.
Like this?
That'll
Okay.
help. Yeah, that'll help clear safety anti-lock number 10, which is your warehouse of abundance.
Well, that's good to know, because apparently I go for abundance regularly without realizing it. So that's good.
There we go.
I didn't know I was doing
with
that.
both arms. Do it with
Right.
both hands.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Well, just for just for awareness, we've got 5 minutes left.
We certainly do. We're down to the last few. I did want to.
That whole thing vanished. The 1 hour's gone in a blink.
Yeah, it goes fast. Yeah, and the more intriguing that the conversation gets, the faster that it goes. That's one of my things to try to attract. I'm trying to attract a slower feeling, a seemingly slower pace, so we can get more done in an hour. But haven't quite got there yet. The conversations are still great. Either way I look at it. But what I wanted to ask you guys was, okay. Oh, nope, it's gone. Well, I did have a question, but I don't know what it is.
Well,
Yes, right. Yeah, here we go.
Hold the forehead.
on the forehead.
Hold the forehead.
Fingers on the forehead. What
Well,
was that one?
To help remember.
While I'm waiting for it to show up, and maybe it won't in the last 4 or 5 minutes that we have left, I will get our. Yeah, that's right. Well, while we're waiting for it, I'll get the promotional messages in because I don't want to forget those, and they are very, very simple. They start with, if you are not yet a subscriber, which is about 10 to 15% of you, we want to encourage you to become a subscriber of this podcast and indeed of our YouTube channel as well, so you can watch our video as we're doing these in addition to the audio. Most of our listeners are audio podcast listeners. But either way, we do want you to be a podcast subscriber. Very simple to do. We're on almost all the major platforms. We're on all the major platforms. We're on almost all the minor ones too. So you can usually just search for us on whatever platform you like to use. But if you can't find it, just go to the homepage of our website, loatoday.net, and you will find instructions on how to subscribe right at the top of the page, designed specifically for your device. You follow the steps in about a minute, you're subscribed, and then all of our shows are coming right to you so you can listen to them as they're published. But of course, we also want you to be able to see us, so come to the YouTube page. You can find us by doing a search for LOA Today podcast videos on YouTube, and there you'll be able to find the subscribe button and a little bell to click to be notified every single time that we're live streaming, so you can actually watch the live stream like Jeffrey does and like some of our other listeners do as well. But make sure either way you become a subscriber so you can keep getting all these episodes coming to us, including those times where we have Astrid on, we talk about Jin Shin Jyutsu, or even when it's just Louie and I talking about it. And I have to say, you guys are getting me more and more convinced that maybe I should be doing a 5-day at some point. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting closer because you make it sound so good. I know what my question was too, Astrid. Louis described what his experience was. Have you had a similar experience from perhaps your first 5-day or some of the other programs that you've done where you just found these amazing things happening?
Well, by the time I got to day 4, I was completely saturated with information and I couldn't take it anymore. So I just lay on the couch while the instructor was talking, and I just took it in by osmosis. I just I was saturated. I couldn't everything, my body, everything. And
you were on overload.
I was that was it. I think I just took a break and then I was fine for the next day. But I remember getting to that point where I was just so saturated with the experience and the information that it can be a bit overwhelming, but in a really good way.
Well, there was this lady on this course, and she kept on interrupting the instructor and saying, "I don't understand this, I don't understand that," and eventually the instructor just smiled at her and said, "Just hold your little finger. You're just trying too hard. Hold that finger." And we never heard from her again.
Wonderful. Yes, that's a wonderful story.
That is funny. One little finger, and she was never heard from again. I mean, there are jokes that are done about that subject, but he found a way to do it through a little finger. That's pretty cool.
Because the little finger is trying too hard or pretending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that helps ease those.
Yeah.
Or efforting,
Yeah, I think we all know what efforting feels like. It's not all that much fun, actually. So, well, thank you guys. Thank you for added insights and understandings and just kind of a general take on what this Jin Shin is all about. I'm really beginning to understand that it's more of a lifestyle than it is anything else. Although I know that's not what you're calling it, Astrid, but I think that's really what it adds up to. It's a lifestyle. Am I wrong?
Well, it's that and more. It's a way of it's an art of living instead of existing. So instead of existing, you live. You learn to live. So it's an art of living. Yes.
Okay. Well, good. All right. Well, that's a good way to summarize the whole thing. So thank you for coming on again. I hope we can have you back again at some point to share more insights, but we really appreciate the time that you spent. Yep. And thank you, Louie, for bringing her on and for...
You're welcome. Thank you, Walt.
All your insights as well.
You've always got great questions, and you run this LOA today brilliantly. I've always admired you for that.
Well, thank you. Actually, you know, what's happened is I've learned more and more to stop asking questions and just let them come to me. So, you know, it's every once in a while I'll have an incident like I did toward the end there where I couldn't remember what the question was, but that's because I was efforting. You know, most of the time it just kind of flows out. But I thank you for that anyway. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Jeffrey, who was our singular live stream listener today. We appreciate him. But thank you also to our many hundreds of podcast listeners as well. We will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.
Stop by DM, guys.